Hello, my name's Rachel and I work for Step 2 Young People's Health. This video is about how to communicate in relationships. Okay, so a little look at why communication is needed first. You need to be able to identify any problems with the relationship. If you're not happy with something and you can't have that discussion about it, then the relationship isn't going to last long. You want to celebrate each other's achievements and any positive things that are happening in the relationship. You need to know what each person is prepared to compromise, what they're willing to give and take in that relationship. And it's really important so that you can ensure that you are in fact compatible with each other. Relationships where people are not compatible are destined not to last for very long at all. You can see there I've done a Google image search to find out some more information and to get some images. And there's some steps there that you can take. The non-verbal signals bit is really important. Arms folded, is the person open, what's their face doing, and you can get a lot of communication from body language. It's important to have autonomy in relationships. So this is getting to make decisions for yourself, being in charge of your own life, but also being in that committed relationship. At the end of the day, you have to look after you as well. So you've got some information, you've got a little picture there. It's important to work on your own thoughts in order to be happy. Absolutely. If you're not concentrating on you even slightly, then the chances of you being happy are actually quite small. You do not exist to make other people happy. You exist to live your life. Boundaries in a relationship are a huge importance. Everybody's got boundaries in every aspect of their life, what they're prepared to do and what they aren't prepared to do. And within relationships, they're very important and they fit into those kind of headings there. So you've got your physical boundaries, where you're happy to touch, what kind of touch you're happy with. Any emotional boundaries, sexual, intellectual boundaries, and financial boundaries. So what are you prepared to give and take? Where are the limits of what you will give in this relationship? You've got the picture there. I'm not responsible for how people respond to my boundaries. No, you aren't. You're responsible for setting your boundaries and for honouring them and sticking with them. If other people do not like your boundaries, that is their issue, not yours. Don't give up on something that you believe in strongly just because somebody else does not like it. Jealousy in a relationship it's a difficult one, because how do you know what's positive jealousy and how do you know what's unhealthy jealousy? And there's got to be a lot of your perspective and your opinion on this. A little jealousy is okay because it motivates you to appreciate each other. It comes from a place of protection. Oh, I'm a bit worried about my girlfriend going out with that person for a couple of drinks because I'm just a little bit worried about her. I just want to make sure she's all right. That's fine. Unhealthy jealousy would be my girlfriend's going out with so-and-so, that's not okay, they're going to do this, that and the other behind my back, this is going to happen, that's going to happen, we're going to end up breaking up, we're going to have an argument when they get back. That's not okay, that's irrational, that's intense. Okay, so that is rooted in somebody's fear of abandonment. That is their issue that they need to deal with. And it could be that, you know, a little bit of mental health support, a little bit of talking therapy would help with that. But this is where communication comes in. If somebody's feeling a little bit jealous and a little bit threatened, they need to open up about that. They need to talk about why they're feeling like that so that their partner can give their perspective and say, you know, I didn't realise you were feeling like that. Let's talk it through. Let's look at what we can do to reduce those feelings of jealousy. So communication in these situations is everything. Communication is massive for consent. Consent in a relationship can mean lots of different things. We ask for consent to do things pretty much every day of our lives without actually realising that we're doing it. So it's permission to do something, we give permission or we agree to something, but you need to have informed consent. So it could be things like, can I borrow your phone? Okay, what do you want my phone for? Are you wanting to make a phone call? Are you wanting to read my text messages? Or are you wanting to look at all my pictures and videos that I've got on my phone? So we need to be a little bit more specific. Do you want to have sex is a great question. Now, you might think that you don't need consent if you've been in a relationship for a long time. You don't need to actually say to the person, would you like to have sex today? But in a way, yes, you do. So you can either say it like that, or if you've been together a long time, you will learn to read each other's body cues. You will learn to read that body language. But it is still really, really important that you have consent. How many of you run up to a friend and just throw your arms around them and give them a massive hug? Did you have consent to do that? Is consent implied because that's what you always do? It could be that your friend's not feeling great that day and they actually don't want to hug you because they're worried that they're going to be sick. Okay, so you need to think about these situations to see if you do actually have consent, to see if everybody's happy in the situation. If you're not happy, you need to express that. So you have the right to say no in any situation. Okay, consent must be those things. It must be freely given. It can't be pressured. It can't be forced. It's reversible. You can take it back. You can change your mind. Actually, no, I don't want to do that anymore. It's got to be informed. So going back to that example of the phone, can I borrow your phone? You're not really giving informed consent there because you don't know what they want your phone for. Once you've got all the information, that is informed consent. Enthusiastic? Yeah, absolutely. Not, yeah, go on then. And it needs to be specific. So what is it exactly you are asking consent for? So would you like to have sex? So that's quite specific. That doesn't cover any other sexual activity. It covers sex. We need to listen to ourselves and know when we're uncomfortable. We have to be able to stand up for ourselves and say no. Okay, now I'm not saying in situations where your mum's saying to you, go tidy your bedroom, that you say, I have the right to not consent to this. I'm saying no. Okay, what I'm saying is in situations, in relationships, you need to be able to stand up for yourself and put your argument across. You don't need to explain why you're saying no. If you want to, fine, that might help communication, but you are not obliged to explain why you don't want to do something. It can be really difficult accepting no. So this picture is obviously aimed at much younger children, but actually the information that's on it is really good for people of any age, because it is hard accepting no. And this will happen in all walks of life. When you're an adult, if you go for a job interview and you get told you didn't get it, you've got to accept that that's a no. You know, you've asked them for the job by applying for it and they're saying no to you. You have to learn to respect other people's choices. You can't kick off and argue just because somebody said no to you. Just because they've said no now, it doesn't mean they're going to say no every time, but that doesn't mean you should keep asking, because that's pressuring somebody into it. So that would be going against the freely given aspect of that picture. If you keep putting pressure on somebody, that's not freely given. But you might ask them again tomorrow. Okay, you might ask them again in another week, and that's absolutely fine. So on the picture, I might not like being told no. We don't like being told no. As human beings, we don't like being told no. But you have to stay calm, not get angry or upset. So here's some advice for children on how to deal with it. I can ask nicely if I can choose something different or have what I want at a later time. So, for example, do you want sex? No. Okay. Would you like to sit and watch a film together instead? Yeah. Okay, so you are putting across an alternative that you'd like to do together. Okay, it may not be the activity that you had in mind, but it's still an activity. I can calmly say how I feel. No, I don't want to have sex. Okay, and that makes me a little bit sad, but that's absolutely fine. That's your choice. But you've got to be careful with that one, that it doesn't turn into an emotional kind of blackmail. Okay, so we're not pressuring anybody through that either. We're not going to guilt trip anybody. It's okay, that makes me a little bit sad, but that's fine. Let's do something else. Okay, and you're moving on. You're offering an alternative, not just, well, that upsets me. And for this one, I can calmly write down I can write down how I feel in a friendly way. So obviously that's sort of children and their communication and how they kind of build that up. But actually that's really good advice for everybody. Breaking up with somebody is really hard, and I've heard lots of young people in lessons say to me, how do you break up with somebody in a positive way? So I've done some do's and don'ts for you. So do it in person. You know, it's not a nice thing to have to do, but do it in person, to the person's face. Think about what you want to say in advance and the impact that that might have on them. So if you say, I'm breaking up with you because actually I've decided you're really ugly, that's going to really damage somebody's self-esteem. That's going to really upset somebody. So, you know, don't be brutal, but be honest. Think about how they might react and prepare. So the relationship that you're in, if it's a little bit volatile, if there's a little bit of anger, if you're worried about it, think about how they're going to react. So are they going to get angry? So do you need to do it in a place where there's other people around? Not necessarily sat with you, but other people around in the space. So in a public park somewhere where there's lots of people around, because then you've got help should you need it. Talk to a friend first, talk it through with them. This is why I'm breaking up with them. This is what I'm going to say. Do you have any advice? Do you think this is okay? Allow them to speak, to ask questions. That two-way communication is really important, because if they don't get a chance to speak, that's going to make them quite frustrated, quite angry. So give them a chance to express. Please don't do it by text. That's a horrible way to break up with somebody. And I know it's less sort of confrontational, but it's so unfair on the other person because you're not giving them this chance to speak and to process and things. Don't get your friend to do it for you. Same reason. Don't lie or make false promises. You need to be honest. Like I said, not brutal, but you do need to be honest. Don't jump straight into another relationship. You need time for you. You need time for you to do you. Okay? Enjoy yourself a little bit. Don't make them do it for you by winding them up or being horrible to you or anything like that. If you want to break up with somebody, take the responsibility and do it. Okay, so you've got a few support services here. So we are Step 2 Young People's Health, that's us in the middle. You can see most of our social media handles there. We are attempting to break out into some other socials. We are a sexual health and mental health charity, so we can help with any questions about sex and relationships or about mental health. We work very closely with James and Hale to deliver relationships and sex education across the Bradford district. Hale have loads of services that they can provide for young people. The NHS I've put on there just as a really good service. They also offer mental health support, but there is quite a waiting list. Relate and Women's Aid, they are relationship charities, so they can help with things along that line. And I've put Brook on there as well. Brook are a sexual health charity that work mainly down south, but they have loads of really, really good information on their website. Especially teaching resources as well. So actually you might find some bits hiding in there, some bits of advice and things in that section. But they do have loads of really helpful information on their website should you need it.